Welcome to the Worship Drummer Podcast. Today, I'm joined by two very familiar faces in the worship drumming world. None other than David Whitworth and Joe Volk. Welcome, guys.
What's up?
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Glad to be here.
To have you both in the same room at the same time, I think this is a first. We've seen you guys do double drums on one screen. Today, we have a double podcast episode guest.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, we've been in a lot of rooms together.
A lot of rooms together. Maybe not on a podcast though.
Yeah,
This is actually our first.
Wow. Let's go. All right. So for all of you that are going to watch this or listen to this, for me personally, we go back probably a decade. We were just chatting about this earlier, to the We Will Not Be Shaken album. And David, I remember, so Matt Stinton, do you remember I was Carla's youth leader?
Oh, Matt's wife.
Yeah, from Lexington, Massachusetts, from Bible school days.
Dude, I didn't know that. That's
No?
crazy. No.
So then when David, you sent me an email with the picture of you and Joe, you had the big lights.
Yeah.
And anyways, you're like, I'm actually in a car with Matt and Carla right now. And I remember, I have a weird memory like that. But it's been a decade. And, time has flown by. And I'm curious, I think everyone else is too, like what have y'all been up to in the last 10 years? And you could make this as long-winded as you want.
Nothing much.
But we want to know all of the fun stuff.
What if that was just the answer?
It's like,
Yeah, nothing much, man.
nothing much, chilling. No, yeah, 10 years. That was crazy. Yeah,
Were any of you married 10 years ago?
no.
I was not, no.
Okay.
So, I mean, that record came out in 2015. I mean, me and Joe's friendship started in 2014, 13. We both, essentially, I moved to Reading in 2013 and Joe moved there 4 months later. We didn't know each other. And yeah, Dan McKenzie, and Gabe Wilson were producing this record, and they asked me to come play on it. And so that was kind of one of my little pushes to get out to Reading. He's like, okay, I'm going to go try this whole thing out. And it was for the You Make Me Brave record. But I do remember during that whole process, I ran into Joe and he was like, hey, this guy, Joe Volk's here. He's another new drummer coming in to be a part of the community. And so, which I thought was awesome because, I mean, I've always wanted to just be around like great musicians and people who love Jesus. And this was like a hotbed for it. There was just tons of young people that love God and were awesome at music. And so that was just me and Joe just became friends through that. Right in 2014 when we got there, 2013, and we just hung out a bunch, and we would always just be in the same friend groups and hanging out. And so it was pretty like organic how it all happened. And then and the double drums thing was for We Will Not Be Shaken was very new. I mean, I've never done that before. And Chris Greeley and Bobby Strand, who produced that record, they were brilliant at, I mean, they wrote these drum parts, and it was like, these are like 10 kits are playing that. I don't know how anyone's going to do this. But I do remember like us writing down on a piece of paper, like who's playing what, who's using sticks, who's using brushes, who's using the kick drum and not on this one. And so who's kind of doing the top line, who's doing like more of the main backbeat type stuff. But it was such a fun process during We Will Not Be Shaken. And yeah, it was really, really hot. I do remember that.
So hot.
They were like
dead heat of summer in Reading.
They're like dressed for fall, and because this will come out in the fall, and we're like, it's literally 115 degrees. So, but
one thing that was fun about We Will Not Be Shaken is Bobby and Chris came up to us and they were like, what would you guys think if we had no hi-hats on this record? Just like no hats. We're like, okay. Like
jingle bells,
sleigh bells, sleigh bells, SPDs, rim sticks. So it was really fun because, they wrote these parts, and then for 2 weeks we all got together and kind of hashed out, changed some parts, kept them the same. But yeah, like David and I really got to work together on playing with each other and around each other and not over each other. And from there, you know, we toured 2 kits for a long time, probably up until 2016 or 2017,
Wow.
where both of us were on the road, touring with Bethel Music. And
that was some of the
Those
most
were
fun days. It was just like
absolute peak season.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just goof. It was just goofs for days.
So many goofs.
But yeah, it was tricky though, because live it's much different than playing on that record, because you have 2 kits live. Things just translate so much different. Like everything sounds massive, so it's hard to, and there's gates on everything, so it's hard to really like articulate what you're trying to do. But we made it work, and yeah, it was so fun. And I feel like we added a bunch of other like fun stuff during that season.
For
like
sure.
we just kept
Tons
adding
of new
on
live elements.
Yeah, adding parts. And I mean, at some point no one really cared. They're just like, yeah, it sounds great, and we're just having the time of our lives. But so
we got to a point to where like we knew, like even during like the flow moments, because obviously Bethel Music, they do the arrangement and then they go off for like 17 more minutes. So
yeah.
we got to a point to where like we would look at each other and I would know like, all right, he's gonna do the fill here, or I'm gonna do the fill here, or this is gonna be a sub drop, or you know, like we were so in sync.
I did have to say one funny story during that season was,
Please do.
So I think Amanda Cook we did a whole, there was like a big set in the front end and then kind of like an acoustic set. And then the band would trickle back on at the end of the acoustic set, and we go back into like another big band set. And so during the acoustic set, the band would come off. But remember, there's 2 drum kits on the opposite side of these stages, and they're fairly large stages. And I remember me and Joe are on the opposite side, and Amanda's finishing one of her songs, or starting one of her songs. And I knew Joe was kind of running around backstage, like getting coffee or water or something. And I just looked over, I was like, Joe, it's go time. Let's go. And so he gets back on his drum riser.
Hold on. The way that they lit the stage for this acoustic set was Amanda was on the keys, just like pitch black everywhere. A spotlight on Amanda and 2 spotlights on the drums. I don't know why.
Yeah,
they lit up the drums, but it was just like 3 spotlights.
Joe hops back on the kit, and then he has to like go on stage, hops on the kit. And then I'm dying laughing because we don't go up for another 7 minutes. So he's sitting there with Amanda for 7 minutes by himself.
And everyone knew, like Bobby, Pope, David, they're all back there laughing. Like David's like, I just sent Joe up early.
It was just his time to shine.
It was, I was shining in that spotlight.
No, but that was such a fun, cool, unique season in our lives and our drumming, you know, whatever careers, if you want to call it that. But yeah. But so it's a big question. 10 years, gosh. I mean,
wives, kids, tours, moves.
I have 2 babies. Married. I moved to Nashville in late 2021 from Reading. Joe, when did you move here?
I moved here February 21.
Okay, so
just a little bit
kind of
before.
Similar. Like it's funny. Our lives are kind of like. They kind of follow the same like rhythm.
We both got married in Reading.
It's pretty unplanned.
2 kids each.
Yeah.
Now we're down in Nashville and starting companies down here, and
and we'll get to that in a second. So, question: the move to Nashville. I've talked to a lot of people now who like. Obviously, we understand Music City, but in what you guys do, what was the main reason for that, if you're allowed to share?
Yeah. Super can't. No.
I mean,
we definitely have different stories. Joe,
so for me, my wife and I, Reading's a pretty small town. And obviously Reading gave us our literal life. Like we both met out there. She's from Bozeman, Montana. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's like, absolutely would have never. Well, who knows? You know, the Lord does crazy things. But to meet in a small town in California was wild for us. And we spent the first 4 years of our marriage there. And we were ready to, take a step somewhere. So we packed up all of our stuff, and we really felt like we were supposed to go to LA for a bit. So we packed up all of our stuff. We put it in a storage in Reading, and we had a friend that was like, hey, why don't you come and test it out? Rent a room from us and just see like how it feels. So I left all of our stuff in Reading, and then we took what we could to live off of for a couple months in someone else's house. So we went and lived in LA for 4 months. And during those 4 months, at the end of 2020, all of our friends that were in LA that we were going to, have around community, everyone was like, I think we're all moving to Nashville. Like, stuff's getting wild out here. And so it was like almost a full year of COVID at that point, and LA was still pretty like shut down. I mean, all social life basically didn't exist. I think when we were about to move to Nashville, like restaurants were starting to open up outside. So it was like people still weren't going inside. So it was definitely like the worst time to try and like test out a city. But obviously, it was the Lord. So all of our friends in LA were moving to Nashville, and then a lot of our friends in Reading were like, yeah, like some of them were already down here, and others were like, yeah, we're looking at Nashville. So the plan for us was always to go to LA and then raise kids in Nashville. So we were like, well, maybe our time in LA is just shorter than we thought. Yeah. So we decided like, all right, yes, let's move to Nashville. I'm like, I don't know really what I'm going to do beyond just like travel a bunch outside of out from Nashville. Yeah. Much easier place to travel from. Reading, if for those that don't know, is on basically the tip of the West Coast, and it takes like 14 hours to get anywhere. So anyway, we say like, okay, yeah, let's move to Nashville. And 2 days later, Cody Carnes texts me and is like, hey, I want to run something by you. And I'm like, yeah. And he calls me and he's like, hey, Austin Davis, our drummer of like 12 years, just took a position at the church. He's wanting to pursue producing, writing, and like a full-time salary, and has kind of wanted to take a step back from the road. Like, would you ever consider touring with us? Like, we've got these blessing tour dates coming up this year. And I was like, bro, this is so crazy. Like 2 days ago, my wife and I decided to move to Nashville. And so anyway, it was a total Lord thing. And he was like, well, we've got rehearsals starting in 3 weeks. So come on down. Cool. So I kind of got thrust straight into like a year of touring, which was, I mean, a total blessing for me and my family, because I didn't know what I was going to do. Yeah.
Double blessing
tour. Anyway, that's how I came down.
Yeah. So
David,
cool. Dude, I remember you telling me you were moving to Nashville. I was like, whoa. It's like, where are you, dude? It's like, I thought you were in LA. It's like, what is Joe doing with his life? But yeah, I remember being so pumped, dude, on hearing like you and Bobby were traveling with them. I was like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah. Bobby was in LA too, and had decided to move to Nashville as well. And Cody was like, we're looking for like an auxiliary, like guitar keys guy. And I was like,
I know a guy.
Bobby is moving. So that was a great year, dude. 2021, we hit the road.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fairly similar-ish. I mean, COVID in California was wild for anyone there. So that was kind of the deciding factor. We didn't know, everything was shut down, and we weren't traveling out of Reading, and my family, everyone was back home in Texas, just like, what are y'all doing? So we were like, we don't know. So we actually, me and my wife, we moved to, I had Duke at that point, my firstborn. So I have two boys. So we moved to, I'll make this quick. We moved to Texas for 6 months to kind of figure out where we wanted to be the next 10 years or so. And just, if we wanted to go back to California, or if we wanted to try something completely, stay in Texas where all of our family is from, or just go to Nashville and see what happens. And I was working with Bethel Music. Also, I had a job with them outside of traveling, doing A&R work and still working on records and such. And so, but that was mostly remote. So it felt like I could be anywhere, but they had offices in Nashville. And I remember asking my dad, I was like, Dad, I don't like, should I just move home and like be a farmer and just raise the kids on a farm? But he
Would have been awesome too.
it's also a great life. But I remember him just being like, he's like, you're still young. He's like, you need to go to Nashville and just give it a shot and just see what happens and see what God can do. And so that was it. So we took 6 months in Texas, and then we just packed up our stuff and moved to Nashville. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And the dream and goal coming here was never to like grind it out on Broadway and like do that thing and try to be like, make it as a musician. Like I always felt like, Nashville is such a great place to raise a family, like Joe was saying. And so that was the biggest thing. And a big bonus too is everyone was kind of moving here as well. So it's like, man, we have all of our old friends are relocating here as well. So made the transition a lot easier for us. And so, yeah, so that is how we got here. And we have 2 baby boys and living here and doing all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I think in my life, it's always been everything has been a step of faith. Like I don't know necessarily what's on the other side, but I know if I feel like the Lord is giving me a yes to that, then I'm going to go, even if it feels uncertain. And, now with the family, everything feels a little more calculated. Like, okay, are we sure? Like, you take into account your family and providing for them and all that. But yeah, we love it here, and it's been a great place. And luckily Joe and 100 other Reading friends have all relocated here, and it's been amazing.
I love it. And who's the guitarist who's moving right now? He married Annie.
Oh, so funny. Yeah, Kenyon.
So Annie was in my youth group in Montreal growing up.
You mentored half of Reading, dude.
Literally, bro. Look at you.
But anyways, yeah, I was really stoked to see that. Just another one to add to the list.
I know. I actually, are they here? I don't even know.
I think they're coming very soon.
Well, welcome.
Welcome, Reeds. We love you.
Quick question. You mentioned farming. There was a comment like in the last 7 days, I remember on YouTube do you have a relative named Elroy?
Me?
Whitworth?
Yeah.
So
my dad.
Oh, that's your dad. So he commented on.
Is this a prophetic word, or is this like?
And he's like, he grew up playing the tubs on the farm or big buckets or something to that effect.
My dad?
Who's Elroy?
He commented and said you grew up playing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, whoa, weird.
Well, I don't know if
my dad has not a musical bone in his body. I grew up, playing drums in a barn.
Okay, so it's an actual true thing.
Oh, yeah. I grew up on a goat farm.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So let's continue down the journey. So, okay, you guys are in Nashville. Let's talk Brandon Lake for a little bit. I had a chance, David, to be with you about a year ago, Tear Off the Roof tour. Most recently, I stayed up really late to watch you on Jimmy Kimmel.
And it's too late.
Let's go.
I was like, this is past midnight for me, and I'm going to pay a price in the morning. But talk about that experience with Brandon and just like going from playing in church to playing on national TV.
Well, Brandon was signed to Bethel Music, and we did a few tours together when he was one of the Bethel Music Collective artists. And so I always felt such kindred spirits with Brandon. He was just one of those rowdy worship leaders that would just go for it. And as a drummer, that's always fun. The guy, you just can follow him anywhere. So that's where our relationship started. And I think in 2021, we did a live record in Nashville for Brandon. Like, I forgot what House of Miracles Live.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that record really put me over the edge in the sense of like, man, like this guy really has something special. So it made me really gravitate towards like, I hope he asked me to do other things, like I would love to do other stuff with Brandon. And sure enough, he did. He started doing these Miracle Nights tour, and yeah, that started all in late 2021, and we just kept going and kept putting out music, and we kept touring it. And yeah, God's opened up a lot of doors for him, and we're just along for the ride, like we're just hanging on. We're like, okay, let's do it. But it's so fun, the crew that we have, because we're all just like close friends, and every tour that we've done has been the best hangs, and just the environment we're in feels safe, and everyone has families and kids, and so we all are able to check in on each other. And I don't know, we're all in the same season of life, so it feels really easy to travel with these guys. And yeah, he's the real deal. And yeah, every time I come home, I'm able to tell my wife, that she's always like, was it fun? Like, do you still like doing this? And I'm like, this is the funnest I've ever had in my life. Like, this is so fun. And there is always that tension of being away from family. But if I'm like, if I have to do it, this feels like it's something I would do it for. And all this is led up to, we played on Jimmy Kimmel, and then it was wild. And shout out to them, because it was, I had preconceived ideas going into that show. Obviously, like me, who watched Jimmy Kimmel growing up, never really saw a Christian artist on there. So this was really cool, and everyone was great. They were so kind and sweet. Everything was professional, dialed. Our mixes were great. We did one take, and then we left, and then that was it. And yeah, so it was really fun, great experience, a little 24-hour trip. And yeah,
that's wild. And Joe, I'll switch it over to you. Mostly, I'm assuming playing with Carrie and Cody these days.
Yeah. They took a year off last year. But yeah, the last 4 years, anything that Carrie and Cody do that I can join in on, I do that. Still doing some Bethel music stuff, and out here in Nashville, you'll literally get a call on Monday that's like, hey, we were doing something tomorrow. Like, can you come, like, shoot over? So lots of that stuff. Get to work with a lot of like amazing artists, and yeah.
I love it. And the next question, we'll get to drums a little later. I have one last question about drums, but on the backside of what you guys do, because we know you as drummers, but David, you're a producer, and then Joe, with the podcasts and all the other stuff that no one probably knows about.
Yeah.
You guys care to like share some of those aspects of life and work?
Yeah. So my brother started a podcast called That's the Point with his friend Kristen Johns. And they started almost 2 years ago, I guess a year and a half ago. And they had no idea about anything in that space. So I kind of helped them get it started, and kind of like push them to go to Patreon, and just because I knew the space a bit. And then I ended up helping them on the back end with their social media, like editing their reels and editing the audio itself, and cleaning up whatever. So that's where I started. And then Rita Springer, who had a podcast that was audio only, got signed by this media company, and she originally reached out to my brother and was like, hey, could you just come push a button and then send it to, like, it'll go to this memory space, then you just send it out.
It's so nice. Just
one button. I was like, oh my God, sounds too good to be true. So John was like, I'm too busy right now, but Joe, who's actually working on our stuff, like he'll come and do it. So I go to push the button, and everything's in boxes: lights, cameras, cables, a switcher board. I'm like,
action.
Hello, like what? She's like, oh yeah, like they sent all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, give me a week to like YouTube and Reddit, find out how to work all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful for that week, because I literally learned the ins and outs of this switcher that she has, the cameras, what cables to use, what cables not to use, how to link it all up, get it to where you can just press a button.
Magic switcher?
Yeah, the A10 i so mini Pro.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's yeah, like for whatever reason, like the cameras weren't displaying, but they were only displaying on one channel. So you have to go and get like the 25-foot cable that's fast enough,
Yeah.
all the nerdy stuff. So anyway, I found out all this stuff and have since then launched a bunch of podcasts and set people up with this setup. I'm like, I've already done it once. I know what works, what doesn't. I'll tell you exactly what to get. I can help you set it up and then do back end stuff too. So I've kind of slipped into like this podcast production editing guy, and have gotten to do some cool stuff with it. But yeah, I mean, it's a great way for me to work at home.
Yeah.
Joe's he's getting like celebrities and stuff. He won't say it, but
It's been fun.
That's cool. And David, we'll throw it to you for like what you're doing on the producer side of things.
yeah. So producing world is, how do I say this?
Awesome.
No, it's mostly my capacity is maybe 1 or 2 projects a year. And so I definitely have been blessed. Don't want to sound cheesy, but to work on worship albums, live worship albums, which is my passion in my heart. So being able to create, music and atmosphere that, how do I say this? To basically creating an atmosphere for people to encounter God is like the heart of it. And so being able to work on live worship records is kind of my heart. And so I've been able to work on a few of those this past year. And yeah, I have a lot going on, 9 to 5 and then weekends and then travel. And so, I really am very blessed to have work on stuff that I only really love and it's passionate. Like I'm not trying to like work at a studio doing producing for any and everyone. It's just like I don't have that kind of passion for it. But when it comes to setting up people to create music and create songs that'll help people encounter God, I do have passion for that. So
that's cool.
Which also translate in from studio into live. It can all translate. But I think I really, being at Bethel for so long, you're in that room at College View and you kind of are just like, man, I think this will work, or this will definitely not work, or people can see through this and they're like, this feels cheesy, they won't get it. So having a lot of like trial and error on that stage there and being able to work on songs during a sound check and kind of form and just test things out, I think has helped my journey along the way. And I've also been able to work with incredible people like Matt Ogden and even David Funk. And this last record for Bethel, I got to work with Jason Ingram, who's a legend. So it's not a lot of producing, but when I do it, because it kind of consumes me, and I feel bad for my wife and kids during those seasons because it's like any spare moment I have, I'm just like glued to making this thing awesome. So, but it's so fun, and yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I'm trying to think of the McClure, Paul and Hannah McClure have a record coming out. We did it, and it is going to master this week. So that's done, and hopefully.
As a producer, do you get to pick who the drummer is?
Oh yeah, I just pick me. I'm just like, yeah, I'll do it. No, it's funny. Yeah, you definitely get to pick or have a say in it for sure. I think for me, it can be more stressful, honestly, if I'm also drumming on the project. So, but yeah, because usually what I'll do though is I'll write demo parts, and which I think are good, and then we get in the room and I'm like, oh, these stink, and then even from there, like adjusting them for when we play it live, and then in post, I edit so many kick patterns, it's crazy. So yeah, and no one can see your feet when you're recording, so I'm able to do a lot more editing on patterns to make it really sit well with the vocal and that sort of deal. So
unless you've got worship drummer GoPros on you, just
yeah, that's
on
true. Yeah,
pedal.
don't show my feet on when you release these videos.
Joe, do you remember Reckless Love? We posted one, and then you're like, hey, can we take that down and I'll re-record one. I think it was at homecoming, and then you sent what was that event? Heaven Come? Not
Oh
Wall.
yeah.
And
Because the
you're like,
one in yeah.
like, the part changed so much that we should just take it down, and here's a good one now.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, a lot of these parts have been through the ringer.
Oh yeah,
it's just like editing and editing.
Well, when we were out in Reading, parts would like form on a Sunday morning from an hour sound check, and because anyone that's leading a new song is like, "Hey, I've got this new song. Let's try this." We'll like work it out in the last 15 minutes of sound check before we play it live. And it's like, okay, so it starts from just like simple, what's going to serve the song, into like, okay, let's get a little bit more creative, and then then you play it live and you're touring it and you come up with new stuff. And anyway.
There's definitely been times though, and we'll get Brian. He showed up to a sound check with just a voice memo. He's a songwriter, so he's always writing, and he'll just play a voice memo into a mic, and he's like, "All right, let's do it." And we're like,
"Oh yeah."
So, and sometimes that's the best take we'll ever get, is just what we naturally would do in the moment, and just go from there. So, we definitely had to learn, on the go. Yeah. But yeah.
That's cool. All right, so I'll ask you one last drum question, and then we'll get to Welcome to Sundays, because I want to hear about the origins of that, and then how you guys, because you're in business together.
Baby,
you got products. So, question about worship drumming. What are some things or trends that you're seeing that you like, and then what are some things that you think we need to stop doing?
Builds.
You like, or that we should stop?
Here's the thing about builds. It's like, I don't think we need to do them as long. I think you can add energy to sections of songs without doing builds as much. I do think they serve a purpose, and it's awesome. But if that's one thing, I mean, I say that and I still do them. But there are ways to get around doing such long builds.
Yeah.
Man, and there's so many great references for this. I mean, I think of Cobes from Hillsong United, and even Dan McMurray, and the way they approach drumming. And it's not like an 8th note build to a 16th note build. It's mostly like their patterns. And so they're snowballing. So you start with the A, B, and then you add a ABC like pattern. You kind of grow and build your patterns, and it just can add a dynamic without having to do, like, I feel sometimes the builds are just cop-outs. And so I think as worship drumming continues, I would love to see like people be more creative in adding energy and bridges and spontaneous moments, and being able to think of different ways to create the same dynamic without just doing 8th to 16th note builds and so on and so forth.
Love it.
But I still do them. So I'm talking to myself.
What's something here that you like that's here to stay?
That's here to stay. Something I like about worship drumming.
No, stuff that we do when we play, or how the songs are.
I think something that's cool, but is going to stay for too long, and probably has been around for a while in other genres, but it just kind of made it into the worship scene like this last year, is sky cymbals, where it's like everyone drops out and you're just smashing cymbals while the bass does something. Or I think it's a cool moment, but I think it needs to be quick. You know what I mean? Like it's already, in my opinion, like being overdone. Like, how many sky cymbal moments are we gonna have?
I was always wondering, what do we call that? So sky cymbal moments.
I don't know. That's that's what our camp calls it. It's like sky cymbals. It's like, God, again? Sure.
No, that's great. There's so many great things, obviously, that worship drummers are doing.
Oh yeah. Let's hear a couple.
All
David.
right, let's hear a couple. No, I do think that it's fun to like be tagged in videos or whatever, and just see the way people. I will say this: there are a lot of drummers who are getting great at recording themselves and posting clips, and I think that's important. I think it's important to keep inspiring and
for sure
growing. I mean, at some point you're limited to, your worship, what they want and what they need in a room and how to serve. But I think it's good for us as worship drummers to keep pushing the boundaries and not settle for something that's been done in the past. And I do feel like that is happening quite a bit, just with, sky cymbals, as Joe was saying, that has definitely been around in gospel world for a long time. But to make it into kind of the CCM type,
and for it to hit,
it's great. And I think rightly placed, it's awesome. Like, I really do. And I think same with builds. Like, if you can place them in the right moments, it's very impactful. And so
I think to piggyback off of like the build thing that David was talking about, everything has its spot and its place. I think it's just like he said, when you use it as a cop out or you use it over and over and over again, that's when stuff gets repetitive. And
yeah, I remember at Bethel, like, I would treat sets like, if we have an hour-long Sunday night set, in my head, I'm thinking like, I'm going to treat it like a record, and I don't want to do the same build the whole set. So I would challenge myself to think of different ways to get to different sections, like with their snare roll or dropping out a kick or only using toms and cymbals or something completely different throughout the whole set. So it's not the same thing throughout this hour set. And it was a fun challenge for me. And yeah, that was one thing I could say you could try to do or encourage y'all to do, is like go through a set and try not to do the same build the whole set.
That's cool. I think too, like David was saying, these guys have gotten so good at like setting up an angle and getting their drum sounding dialed and awesome. And I think one thing that I've seen is dudes that bring in like their own style with their fills. And I think that's like a huge thing that's awesome right now in worship drumming, is like, because obviously it's a more simple genre. Like, you don't want to be like, you want to serve the song, you want to serve the room, your worship leader, all that stuff. And one thing that you can do is, by like expressing yourself, is adding it to fills. So like, you're playing the regular groove, and then what's your fill into the chorus? And I love, going down the black hole of Instagram reels and finding like, oh dude, that fill is awesome, and then implementing it.
Yeah.
Just some stealing.
Oh yeah. It's what everyone does.
That's really cool. And thanks for that. I think that's going to hit home with a lot of people. And who better to share that than you guys? So let's talk about Welcome to Sunday. And
yeah, baby,
that landing page was there for a while, and the anticipation was building, and people were like, what is this? What are they up to? And so why don't you guys, and by the way, just for everyone listening, they did not reach out to me and do this whole episode to like promote Welcome to Sundays, their website. I reached out to them like I've done to so many others throughout the years, because Worship Drummer and this platform is not about me. It's about the community and the family that we've built, of which you both are like OGs. So,
couple of old guys.
Let's go. So guys, this is your opportunity. Nerd out, geek out. Tell us what you want. And I know firsthand, anything that you both put out is going to be top notch. So I'm excited.
Well, thank you.
And
thank you very much.
I looked at the website. I know what it's about, but there might be people who are.
Did you buy anything or what?
I have not yet.
I'm joking.
I'm waiting for the freebie. No, I'm kidding.
Dude. We'll send you that zip.
No, yeah. Welcome to Sundays. Is a company me and Joe started, I don't know how many years ago, but it just launched on the 1st of April.
1st of April, yeah.
Woo.
But we've been working on this for a long time.
It's funny because yesterday we were talking and I was going through these videos. I made a video 2 years ago talking about one of the templates in there. And I was like, dude, let's just redo this. Like, we literally made this 2 years ago. Like,
yeah.
crazy.
So Welcome to Sundays. I think in 2019, I had something. I mean, it's always been in the back of our heads. I mean, we would always get DMs about, hey, can we buy these samples, or can you email me these samples?
And you used to do it on like that Facebook Worship Drummers.
Yeah. We should like send this, just like, here you go. Here's or like get people's emails and be like, here's that tambo hit you've been wanting, or here's the sub drop.
Everyone wants that tambo hit.
But I think from then it was awesome to feel like, oh man, maybe people are seeing what I'm doing, and that's really cool. I love that. I guess. I mean, it was just like, I would love to help people. And so I think that was just a natural starting place where, like, in the back of my head, I was like, at some point it would be fun just to have all these in one place, where a resource center where people can go and they can really see our take on the worship drumming space. And it's not the, end all be all, but it's something that we've been doing since we were kids. I mean, part of the reason Welcome to Sundays is named that is we've given our lives to Sundays and serving on Sundays. And so we wanted this to be a platform for worship drummers to really see our take on the space and be inspired by it, and let it be a place where they can come and meet other drummers and, whatever. It can also be a community in that sense, but we really wanted it to be a place where we can share everything we're doing, everything we've learned, any and everything. We just wanted to put it there. And me and Joe have been on this similar path in career. And so it was such a fun collab when we first started talking about it. I was like, we should just do this and let's just put it on a website. And we're not a sample-based company. I'll say that. I think we will always have samples, and we will, if we're making new stuff, we're always going to put it out. But, and even what's on our website now, I feel like that's probably 10% of what this company is.
Wow.
The biggest thing for us is one is trying to find days we can record content, but two, it's our approach on worship drumming and our take on it. So everything from how do we get our snare tone, or how do we even approach a worship set, or any of that kind of stuff. And I think that was a big thing for getting Luke Hendrickson involved with our drum tracking template. Was I want to be able to give drummers something they can plug and play and like have great sounding drums out of the gate. If they want to do Instagram videos, or if they want to track for remote tracking. So, and even with the Ableton template that Joe had been working on forever, we want to be able to give this to people and let it be a resource for them and let it serve. And again, like, we want our ceiling to be their floor. We want this to be a place of inspiration, be like, if they ever need inspiration, or they're like feeling stuck in anything, it's like, let this be a place where they can go to and find inspiration, buy some packs, anything. So that's kind of the heart behind it. And we do have a heart for this worship drumming community. And again, we've given our lives to this. And so we wanted it to just be a one-stop shop. And
and this first, like, our launch, we wanted to answer your question, why was the landing page up there for so long? And what we were like 95% there for probably 2 years, but we had some things that were like, man, this is good, but it's not like the best. So what can we do to make it the best? And that was one thing that, David mentioned. We got Luke Hendrickson in on the drum mixing template, and that was a game changer for us, because I mean, who does it better than Luke Hendrickson? He's one of the best engineers in the worship space. So getting him on board and Production Online on board to do that collaboration was awesome, but also took time. It was like, all right, we're ready to go, but we got to wait on this. And so we, where was I going with this? Sorry.
You're good. Yeah, but we have a lot more in the bag per se, but I think it's ingrained in us because we were so surrounded by insane audio engineers and musicians that anything we put out, we're like, well, is this really what we would do? Like, if, so I think now that it's on us to put it out, it's like, let's not skip any steps. Let's do this for real.
Make everything the best.
Yeah. And so we want it to be high quality, and it might take longer, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I think everything we put on the site, we really want it to be a resource and it to be something that people would love. And
the future,
or I would love.
The future of the site and the company, whatever you want to call it, is it's not just going to stop with the products that we have available and the resources that we have available. We're going to build upon it. We're going to be
it's an ever living
videos, more packs, more templates.
it's a lot going on, but we're pumped on it. We added this to our work. Here's the biggest thing with it was we added it to our
Already
everyday
crazy
lives. So, but that was a big commitment to just, because again, we had this and for a few years it was pretty much done, but everyone was busy, and so we're always doing something. But now it's like let's just do it. We'll carve out time if it's nights, whatever. We'll just, if it's important to us, then let's do it. So we just made it work.
I love it. And question, the Ableton template, is that like for the whole band, or specifically if I want to, like, I'm trying to think the ideal use case. Is it, I got my drums here and I want to set up a camera and record, some stuff that I'm learning or doing.
Are you saying the mixing template or the playback template? Sorry,
the mixing template.
That's
get you one, dude.
Yeah, it's for it's a drum mixing template. So no, it's not for the whole band. It's for drummers who are in their studio or tracking live, or even grabbing stems from live and want to throw it in and do it there. It's kind of like
I love it.
Yeah, it's just both of the templates. Like the Ableton template was built for ease. It's all copy and paste from session to arrangement, drag over, and it's just the drum mixing template's the same easeability.
I love it.
Yeah.
This stuff too, it's actually stuff we use, and there's 100 ways to do all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is just our take on it and what we love to use, and here it is.
Yep.
And I think it's cool because, David, I remember watching you at last year at Brandon Lake Tear Off the Roof tour stop in Toronto. You were like editing last minute because of a change from the intro song. Yep. I know it's like years, correct me if I'm wrong, years of learning, all culminating into what you guys put out. So like, I think that's the value. We pay a dollar amount for like decades of learning that you've done.
Yeah. Both templates come with walkthrough videos too. So like if you are a beginner in Pro Tools or Logic Pro or Ableton, these templates come with walkthrough videos that take you from start to finish of, like with the Ableton, build out a whole song explaining what each rack is, what each section is. And same with Luke Hendrickson, took a 42-minute video walking you through his entire process of mixing drums. So, and why he put stuff where. So it's, I think, an invaluable resource, both those templates. And, the samples are amazing too. We spent a lot of time. David recorded the API collection with Taylor Clark and Chris Greeley, and we're proud of the products, and all the things to come will have as much blood, sweat, and tears poured into them.
Yeah. The last thing on the mixing template.
Yeah.
From Luke Hendrickson, we had a template before him, and I thought it sounded sick, but I basically asked Luke, I was like, I want live record sounding drums when I plug in and play. I was like, can you help us? And so and then he was pretty hesitant at first. He's like, that's giving away my secret sauce. I don't want to do all that. But then he came around, he's brilliant. But yeah, we've been surrounded by such amazing audio engineers and musicians that we want anything that we do, we want it to be top tier. So, but we're 100%. Happy with it. I love also that back to the Toronto show. Is that where it was?
Yeah.
Apparently the stop before got mad at us for playing the da-na-na-na-na, hey.
Yeah. I just call it the hockey song.
That's what we thought it was, but it's by an artist who did bad things, and so we got complaints.
Oh, that's funny.
And he was a Canadian guy.
You added it back in, right?
Well, after we got out of Canada. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so years of Ableton stuff. Will Doggett's such a big mentor to both of us, and studio to stage. Shout out. He really is like a brilliant human, and he came on tour with us, and he helped me navigate running tracks as a drummer and basically I told him everything I needed, and he was like, well, we can customize it from the other side of the stadium if you need. And I was like, okay. So he knows, like, he's just so brilliant. And so he helped me with these. And yeah, and so we just want to make that available, that ease and that whatever, just for worship drummers. So
Come on.
yeah, man.
Thanks for doing that, guys. How can we follow you? I mean, most people who might know you follow you already, but for those who are just coming out of the woods, how can we find you on socials?
Well, at Welcome to Sundays on social media, welcometo-sundays.com. Our personal pages, I'm just Joe Volk, at Joe Volk. You can find me.
Yeah.
And David?
Yep. David Whitworth.
At David Whitworth.
At David Whitworth. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it,
man.
Love it. Well, thanks so much, guys, for joining us today. And we hope that you've learned something. And don't forget, you can always share this episode with other drummers, you know, even your worship team. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.
Right on. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.